Now, for today, I have brought back one of my favorite guests. She is, yep, that's right, it is a she. And the only guest that I've had that has been as impactful as she has been is none other than, you wait, I'm not going to tell you her name yet. This lady is a mental health nurse practitioner. She is a best-selling author, a TED Talk international speaker, a TV and radio health expert, your life rehab ambassador. She is the Princess of Suburbia in NAFCA, African Oscar recipient. She is an Indie Fest Film Award winner, Essence Literary Award winner as well. She has published best-selling books, Fearless Visionary, Tear the Veil, and so much more. And she also has a new book that is kind of like out now. I will let her talk about that later. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together, clink on your glasses as we welcome to the show tonight, Dr. Princess Fumi Stephanie Hancock. Hi, Doc.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me again. Thank you. It's been fun.
It's never too much to have you on the show.
Thank you.
It's a massive honor to have you back. And in case people are wondering, yes, she is a real life princess. So I am talking to Disney right now. Okay, all the way from Africa, we are here. Thank you very much. Thank you for spending this time with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, the last time we spoke about, we just dived into mental health in general, kind of went through everything from how you experience it, what you think it is, what it looks like for us to recognize. And before we left on that show, you made a particular mention about wanting and loving to speak about mental health in children, as well as mental health in our leaders. So for today, my main thing to drive is let's get more into this mental health issue that our children are experiencing. And when I say children, I mean people of a younger age. That's anybody, right. In my case, anyone under the age of 20 is a child to me. In case you're wondering, yes, I am that old. But anyone under the age of 20 or 25. And also we'll look at the mental health in our leaders, the kind of behaviors they can exhibit, how you can kind of look at it and recognize in some people and everything else. But before that, come on, I'll give you a few minutes to say hi to our friends and give a shout out to the people that are watching all over.
Well, thank you so much again for having me, Orakle. Welcome to this platform, everyone. It's always an honor when I get a chance to share my passion. My passion is mental health. And today we're going to dive in a lot. So whatever it is that you're doing right now, just hang in there with us because that just might be one thing that you've been waiting for. I always believe in this. I said, one event can change your life one event can change your life forever. Now, this is going to be that event that might change your life forever. So stay tuned.
Definitely. Thank you very much. That one event is what we're looking forward to and what we're telling people to look out for. Now, our main topic, which is mental health in children. Is this a new phenomenon? Is this a new thing that's just come up? As people would like to call it, is this a trend?
Now, that's a big question. Thank you for asking that question too. Now, mental health is something that have been with us, depending on where you are. If you are in Britain, and also depending on your background, even in Africa, for Africans, we've always had it. The only thing is that it's always been covered by one thing or the other. Spirituality, we often cover it. Our culture, our behavior, we often cover it. Stigma, because of the stigma, we often cover it. So it's not a new phenomenon. But what's happened in these days is that because of the pandemic had kind of unleashed it and brought it from the back end to the forefront. Example, case in point, we have someone like Simone Biles, who literally even brought it not just to the forefront, but brought it right in the center, in the middle of what we all love to watch, which is the Olympics. So it's not a new phenomenon. It's just that now, right, we don't have a choice but to look at it because there's hardly, just like what I was talking to you about, there's hardly a home that doesn't have one person. Now, they might not tell the truth, or they might pretend, or they might sit a little bit on it, but there's hardly
keep it on the wraps.
a home that do not have someone that is suffering from it right now.
Okay, that kind of sheds more light on it, in the sense of there is always that possibility that it exists there. There is someone going through something, even it might be minuscule or minute, that they're not telling someone about. Now, you mentioned the one about Simone Biles, but she's not the only one that's come out recently. We had the tennis sensational young player, Osaka, I think her name was.
Yes.
And she turned around and was like, thanks, but what you want me to do doesn't really sit well with me. As of now, I'm going to take a step back. This is from an international play. So pretty much nearly as highly prolific as the Olympics itself. So is it the fact that these young people are speaking out more, or the fact that we're more receptive to it?
Well, reception, I don't know. But I think the generation too, our generations are different. My generation is see no evil, hear no evil. If you see it, that's not what you saw. If you heard it, then you did not hear it, just keep walking. So that's my generation. My generation says, you do not tell, right?
Yeah.
So, but we are raising up kids now that are very, very vocal. We're raising up kids that they care, but maybe not care that much either.
True.
And they're not too particular about, okay, so what? So what? You think I have mental illness? So what? At least, it's out there. So I think it's a question of, it's a generational thing.
Okay.
And there's some of us too that are accepting it slowly, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet, because frankly, when I look at my practice right now, and I look at the number, the ratio of the children that I see right now and their parents, half the time their parents bring them there, but they don't really believe in what they're coming to hear.
Okay.
So that you have the kid that's prodding at the mother, like, you got to take me somewhere. It's okay, you'll go there. And then they plant them there. And the parents are looking for ways to dodge, get out of the place. So that the kid is there doing his or her own thing.
That just sounds like me taking my daughter to swimming lessons. It's like, yeah, here you go. Bye. See you guys later.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. So you have them that, they believe. But here's the thing, though. There's also a group of mothers or fathers that are afraid for their children. They are afraid that if the news gets out, what will their children have to face in school? So it's not like some of the parents just don't believe in mental illness. They're just afraid. Some of them are afraid for their children that if they get stigmatized, then what? What will that mean for them? So because of that, they will try to walk with that child, to say to the child, no, you didn't have it. Yes, I do. No, you don't. No, just pretend you don't. No, just pray over it. Pray, and it will go away. Just pray. And then the child comes and says, okay, I am praying. He's helping me. But he's helping me to tell you in boldness
I need to go,
that I need help.
True. It is amazing the way, the generational shift and generational gap is visible. And for someone like yourself who works in the forefront of, this particular issue, you get to see it blatantly. And for the rest of us who work elsewhere, the interaction that we've always seen between the older and the younger people has always been different. I was having a conversation with some of my friends a while ago, talking about the excessive dexterity and vastly developed computer brain that younger people have. I have a 5-year-old who I tell anybody who you visit me, do not mistakenly enter your phone code in front of my daughter. She will remember it. People think I make it up. I'm like, no. She started remembering how to unlock phones at 2. Once she could walk and get her motor coordination. And it's the fact of these children, they're developing a lot faster. And they have that edge in the sense of the edge of, yeah, I know what I'm doing and I will tell you, and I think it's a good thing to nurture. If there's still families or people out there who are, kind of like hesitant to allow their young people to voice out, especially when it concerns things like mental health and stuff, what would be your word to them? What would be your advice to, such people?
I think it's more of a question. And the question is, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of?
Being seen as crazy?
What are you afraid of? Because here's the thing, that could be that event that will change your life or your child's life. You cannot know the number of parents that I've had to speak to that have said, if I had known, if I had just listened, he probably wouldn't have taken his life. If I had just, all I needed to do was 5 minutes of listen and get him the help or get her the help, I would not be in perpetual pain today.
Yeah.
So
true.
My question to any parent that's watching is, what are you afraid of? What are the alternatives? Lose him or her forever?
For life, yeah.
Or
forever.
Deal with the stigma, help him or her deal with the stigma and let him come out stronger.
Yeah.
And being able to be a man or a young man or young woman that can stand on their own 2 feet and take care of business.
Wow.
So it's important that a lot of times, again, depending on culture, again, Africans, we are told you have this responsibility. It doesn't matter how far away you are from home, that responsibility follows you from Nigeria or any part of Africa all the way to wherever. Now, if you give birth to children elsewhere too, that responsibility still falls on them. And so you have a lot of things that is weighing on you. But you as a parent, it is time for you to say to your child, you matter. And the way that you can say to that child is what you show.
Wow.
How you show it. How you say, okay, I might not understand what's up with this thing that you say you are hearing all the time. I don't understand it when you tell me you have suicidal thought. What do you mean when you say you just feel like walking down the streets and I wonder how it feels like for a car to hit me? Well, I don't understand it, but I know to get you help. I'm not going to sit here and argue with it over you because I don't understand it. But what I see a lot of parents do is argue their way through something that they don't even understand.
It's okay. Now, in a way, it is more of the confusion and not knowing, for parents that always causes you to go, nah, that can't be true. That can't be real. No one in my family has ever experienced that. How would you be, that kind of denial? I have a feeling that's where it might come from. Now, one of the things that I would like to know now is, what are some of the it's not symptoms, but some of the examples of mental health conflicts and mental health issues that young people are experiencing?
Oh my goodness. One of the major ones right now is called suicidal ideation or thought. So a lot of times we as adults, we know about suicide, period. We know that somebody who takes their life, that's it. But we don't know much about suicidal thought or ideation, right? So thought is, for example, a kid might just be sitting down and just says, I wonder what it feels like if I just walk in there and the car just hits me. How would it feel like? Those are suicidal thought and ideation. Wow. And this is very huge. It's very, very huge right now. It's very rampant because a lot of our kids have been in the house by themselves for over a year, talking to themselves, talking at themselves, talking to, this here, the entertainment, the TV. So they are in their own heads. A lot of them are in their own heads. And so all they need is somebody to just light the fire a little bit. And then that thing comes up. And they start thinking a lot about, okay, if I were to die today, would anybody even miss me at all? No, they're not going to miss me anyway. Things like that.
Wow.
And if it's not taken care of, it can actually lead to an attempt. It can actually lead to attempts. So as parents, our role is not to argue it, right?
Yeah.
I often say to parents, number one, say to yourself, I don't understand that. Okay,
I don't
so
think anyone but the person experiencing will ever understand that.
Exactly. I don't understand that. So I'm not even going to sit here and try to convince him or her that no, she's not. No, you're not thinking about it. Look, you have to know how to first acknowledge that your child has feelings just like you do.
Yeah.
They have emotions like you do.
Sure.
No matter how smart they are. So they know when they're feeling that something is wrong with their body or something is wrong with their mind.
Yeah.
If they go somewhere and they take their finger and they put it in a fire, they know it
hurts.
painful.
Yeah.
So it might not be visible initially, but they're feeling the pain. So when they come to you and say, I feel the pain, because you don't think that you will do that, doesn't make it any less important to them. Because you were raised by an African mother who will whack your head before you even think about it, doesn't mean, it doesn't negate their own feelings. And so as parents, it's important that we understand that we're not looking at our parents from the glass of how we were raised. And we say, okay, somebody sexually molested me, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. I'm not going to say anything. And so somebody molested your daughter, and your daughter comes to you and you say, shh, don't let anybody hear. Right? Shh. No, it did not. He couldn't have done that. No, he could not. You cannot do that, because what you're doing is you're looking and negating that child's feelings. So, and for you to get a solution to whatever is going on with that child is by first saying, okay, I fess up. I can't tell you I understand this. I really don't. But I'm going to sure find you somebody that does. Because what you've done then is tell that kid you matter enough, that you matter way over how I feel about the whole situation. Let's get you the help. And then I can deal with my own feelings too at some point about how I feel about this whole thing.
Yeah, it's very easy to understand how someone can self-project their own thinking or their own ideology on these things. And it's clear and it's very visible, because I'm thinking back now, because outside this, I do management for events and stuff. And I'm seeing how this can be transferable to my staff. Especially if you're running any event, you're running a restaurant, you're running a school, you're running any business that you have young people working for you, or you have anybody working for you, and they start talking about things they're experiencing. One of the bad habits that us managers normally do is, I understand. I've kind of come to that. I've sort of slightly grown to that level since our last conversation. Like, you don't say, I understand. I know I don't know what you're going through. I empathize with you. I would like to get more detail into it and what I can do to help. And it's pretty much sounding to me like this is the same approach we need to have with young people, especially as parents, because as parents, we want to always be in control of what's happening. We always want to be the one in the know. Like, oh yeah, it's my child. I know my child will never do that. It's the same way you get children that go out and do horrendous things. And then by the time they now get in touch with the parents are like, oh boy, he was never like that. He was just nice and quiet. Oh, she never exhibited anything like this at home. Oh, where on earth did that mean? Oh, maybe it's the friends. It's like, this child had been trying to talk to you for the past 18 years. And the only thing that you've always given the child is, yeah, you're okay. Carry on. Come on. Right. That's not how we do it in this family. So it's more of, don't project your own feelings and your own ideology on this child. It's understandable on that side, but my thing now is, if this is what young people are experiencing, what would be your advice on them overcoming it? Like, if they find themselves in a family where the parents are not listening, or they're in a school where the teacher doesn't acknowledge this kind of thing, how would you advise a young person to move forward?
Okay, so our young people are usually in different settings. We have some that are in church settings. We have some that are in school setting, home setting. There have been people, there's always one person. There's always one person. It might be a friend. It might be a friend that would go home and tell their own parents,
Yeah.
who would now know somebody. There's always one person that you will be able to say something to and say, hey, I'm really going through this and I don't know how to handle it. But never start with the presumption that I have nobody, because when you start with that presumption, your brain will not help you to look for that somebody, that one person that can help you. But when you say, yeah, never mind, my family might not be visiting, they might not be it for me. If I go to school, it might not even be my counselor, but it might be a friend that I talk to that will now go home and talk to his own parents or her own parents, who will now reach out to somebody. I've often found that that helps a lot. I have an example that I'm not sure if I shared this example the last time I was here. And this young kid was brought to me. Well, he's no longer a kid; he's my kid anyway. All right, so I look at them and so he's 21 years old now, and he's been with me since he was 18, I think. And after I diagnosed him with homicidal, he does have some homicidal tendencies where he goes out and he feels like just whacking people, just whacking people. And I said, well, when did this start? He said 5 years old. The mother almost passed out. She was sitting in the seat. I was like, what? He said, yeah, I've been having this since 5 years old. And come to find out the 5 years was kind of synonymous for when they were getting divorced, when the mom and their dad was getting divorced. But they paid so much attention to their divorce and
they ignored the child.
That he was going through some thoughts. And every time he would pull at either of them, nobody was available.
Yeah, they were
because
busy.
They were on to their own thing. And I said, but how did you manage it from like 5 till 18 when you now walked in with your mother? He said, I had a friend at school, and that friend told the dad, and the dad told another counselor, and that counselor took me in and started talking to me more about it. I said, but how come they didn't report anything? He said, I don't know. That I don't know. But the fact that I had that person that I could talk to,
allowed
helped me. Yeah. And the day he turned 18 was when he walked right into my office. The day he turned 18, on his 18th birthday, he walked in, dragged the mother in, and I said, how did you get your mother? Because we've been talking about they getting divorced at 5, and you're 18. And he said, look, I turned 18. She walked into my room, sang the little song, and said, what do you want for a gift? And I said, I already made an appointment, so you don't have to bother about the appointment.
Hello, it's like, what do you want for a gift?
I am going to my appointment. That is my birthday gift to me. Now, he said to the mother, you have only one option here. And the only one option is to come with me.
That's it.
I said, that's it. And do you know that when the mother came, the mother began to weep. And she said, I am so sorry. I could have lost him. To wait over 10 years. Now, he says, it's not that I don't know something was wrong. He said there are certain things that he would do that was just didn't add up.
Yeah.
But I was not ready to
admit and accept.
Just admit it. And then the dad also had the traits. And that's one of the reasons why they got divorced. He had the traits, and he would not go and treat himself because he thought he had no problems. So you see, when you look at a family like that, it's always there. It's just a question of readiness for somebody to be ready enough to say, okay, let's look at this and really seek help.
Yeah, someone needs to own up and put their fingers out, like, hey, me, look at it,
So whatever teenager that is out there, or youth or 21 that's out there saying, oh my God, how can I seek help? You're 21 years old now.
Yeah.
You can seek help.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
can seek help outside of. and thank heavens for virtual services now, where if you're not comfortable and you don't want your community to see you walk in front of a
Yeah, let's
and
let's do it online. Let's do it
all you
online.
have to
That's
do
it.
is do exactly as you're watching us right now, and you get on and you talk. And perhaps maybe at some point when you get comfortable, you can come in where we can do some other things on you. But to start with, you can get somebody that you could talk with on like this. They can also even prescribe medication virtually. I do that every day.
Yeah,
I
true.
prescribe medication every day virtually.
Well, it's amazing to know that there are opportunities to help those young people out there. But the advice, or more of our encouragement to everybody out there, is listen, 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 and listen. Be it your own child or be it a young person around you. If you find yourself in a church environment where you're an elder or a minister, or even just someone that assists in a church, listen to the young people around you. They will tell you when they need things. If you work in a school, you're a school assistant, listen to the young people around you. If you're working and you have young people working for you, keep your ears open. Why? Because it might be just one conversation that could save that person's life. I could literally carry on with this, young people and stuff, but I would love for us to move to the second part of my conversation. Before that, I'm going to take a little break. So we're just going to take a minute. Like I said, grab yourself something to drink, grab yourself water or something, go wipe your face if you're sweating too much, because this is too close for home. But all what you do, make sure you don't go away. Stay with us here on Hot Topics. We will see you in a few minutes. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. I am still here with Dr. Princess Fumi Stephanie Hancock, our mental health specialist. She has spent her time with us this evening, all the way from the United States. Thank you. We have just finished talking about children and mental health in young people. In case you missed some of it, I'll suggest you go back and find it on YouTube and listen to the whole thing, because there are definitely gems in there that you would want to unravel and polish out. So in whatever aspect of life, there is something in there that will be helpful and useful to you. Now, my next favorite subject, apart from Africa and Nigeria, leadership. We were talking about one of our favorite comedic leaders that we've ever had in the world, the ex-president of the United States. I don't know, is he still referred to as President Trump?
No, ex-president.
Oh, we have to put the X in front of it.
Because we do have a president right now.
I love it. We have to put X in front of it, so at least they know it's a girlfriend that got kicked out. Yeah.
Maybe X doesn't sound good. Maybe former.
That's what I was saying. I think I prefer the X. I will use the X definitely. But the topic that I would like to dig into, or the area of this mental health topic I would like to dig into, is mental health in men and leaders. When I say leaders, because at the moment the men leaders have exhibited a lot more than the female leaders. The only female leader I can remember off the top of my head that ever exhibited anything close to it was Margaret Thatcher, and we're not going to go into topic about her. But for example, female leaders like the leader of, I think it's New Zealand or somewhere in that side of the world, at the moment she's exhibiting some beautiful leadership skills that I don't even think anyone in the world can question. But the men, sorry to cough at that, but the men seem to be exhibiting a lot more mental, I'll say subtle mental health traits. And I think that's a better word. Not so much as the whole exhibition of mental health issues, but traits of mental issue, or at least a sort of mental condition of some sort. Can you shed light on the sort of mental health issue that can affect men and leaders in that way?
Thank you for asking that. again, we're going to talk about a little bit about background, right? So,
Mm,
depending on what background that the man comes from, men have been raised to, we don't let them see you cry, right? You don't
mm,
cry. So you have men that have grown to cry on the inside rather than on the outwardly. You have men that have unresolved issues.
yeah.
And so you have a whole lot of resolved issues that you bring into leadership, a whole lot of resolved issues that you bring into marriage, a
Mm,
whole lot of resolved issues that you bring into church. I mean, depending on what environment that you're planted in, you're
yeah.
dragging into
That
that
issue with
that
you.
that
Yeah.
that environment with the issues. Now, what makes them different a little bit, not from most women, right? There are women too that have not dealt with their issues too, but women tend to kind of quickly cry over something. We
Mm,
tend to kind of like give in, like, okay, God, I'm so tired of this. Okay, God, just take me and do what you need to do. But
mm,
men, they still have to, no matter how much they're going through, they still have to put that front up that they are a man.
mm.
And their manhood is certainly attached to um,
Whatever the
what they
issue is.
achieve
Yeah.
in life, right? Their accomplishments and all that. So that when they say that they are depressed, the first thing they think about is accomplishment. It takes away from in their mind, it takes away
Mm,
from their accomplishment when they tell somebody that they're going through depression. Then, which means, by my goodness, that just takes away. It took a little dip at my accomplishment there. Whereas women would say, oh my goodness, if I don't get rid of this thing, it's going to affect
mm,
mine. But
mm.
men would say it's already affected by just the method,
Yeah.
the mere
Just
thought of it.
just the mere thought of mentioning it. Yeah.
The mere
Yeah.
thought of it has already dipped into it. So that it's important that even as we raise up the next generation, we have to raise them up understanding that there's nothing to be ashamed of.
Mm,
A mental health condition or traits, as you
yeah.
call it, is nothing, is just something to tell you, watch out. You need to handle this. I see them not as an obstacle, but I see
Yeah.
them as actually gems that will help you to go to the next level in your life.
Okay.
So if you could take those traits and turn them into gems, life gems, rather than life obstacle, it is amazing how men, because our men are resourceful anyway. So when they look at this as something as a gem, they would quickly get up and do what they need to do. But if they look at it as, ooh,
A problem. Yeah.
ugh,
Yeah. An
this is a
issue.
problem, they want to quickly sweep it under the rug.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's true in that sense of, as a man, you occasionally, some men in their background are kind of raised with that, stiff upper lip, as we call it in England. Like, you don't show any emotion when you're acknowledging your child. You only raise an eyebrow to say well done. They do something, you frown like the whole world is ending. And for your missus outside, you don't even show that she's my missus. Yeah, she's my missus. Meet my missus. That's it. And that's it. And that same attitude now carries on to the golf club where you guys are playing golf, and you don't discuss your issues. You discuss the next contract you're signing, and
That's right.
how good it is.
Right.
The way you're progressing, and I'm going for VP. That's what I'm chasing after. But then in between all that, you're not talking about the time that you really felt low, felt down while at work, and then you come home and you don't even allow yourself that opportunity to talk to your partner. Like, okay, this is what's going on. This is what's in my head. I need to take 2 minutes to kind of resolve it. Using myself for an example, it got to a point that my missus had to go, you do know you can tell me anything. And I was like, yeah. Don't worry. I got it. Or the worst one that she brought to my attention is when she asks about something and my reply is, don't worry, I'm figuring it out. Now that I think every single man is guilty of.
That's right.
At issues that we should ask or seek assistance with, we turn around and go, don't worry, and figuring it out. And that figuring it out is eating us up inside.
So can you imagine yourself saying you're figuring something out every time today you're figuring something out, tomorrow is another issue. Oh, I'm figuring. So you're piling all that figuring out.
Yeah.
Until then it combusts in your brain and you don't know what to do anymore, because now you have a whole lot of figuring out on the table and you don't even know where to start anymore. Exactly. Now it's like, where do I even start now? Because I don't even know.
It's scary. It's scary, but it's, you know, it's one of those things. You mentioned in the first part of the interview about the dad who had traits that ended up showing in their child, you know, and the child started demonstrating at the age of 5. Can you imagine how long the dad had carried it for? You know, now is that the sort of thing that we're looking at in leaders as well?
Well, okay, so a lot of our leaders, right? When they come into leadership, they come with, of course, there are things that they learn, right? They learn as leaders. Yeah. But there are certain traits that we come with. Some of them are actually quite narcissistic, but they're functioning, right? And because they're functioning and they're making their company a lot of money, people ignore that narcissistic part of them because, hey, it's making money. Everybody's making money. It's all good. But when they get home, make their partners miserable, make their children miserable, and then they turn to bottle, and bottle becomes their next partner. Yeah. And then they drink, then they go out to the society, but because, hey, they're leaders, everybody is drinking, they have a party, everybody's drinking, they think it's acceptable, they take a cup too, they're drinking with everybody, but they're already hooked on it. Everybody else is not, but they're already hooked on it. They're already hooked on it. So a lot of the traits that men come up with, just like with the examples of the one that you even talked about with, you have growing up, right? You're growing up, you've been taught to be quiet. Yeah. You've been taught not to tell not to show when you're hurt. Yeah. You've been taught when you want to deal with something, just don't tell them, just say you handle it.
Just say you're handling it. Yeah.
Get them out of your way so you can just say you handle it. Yeah. Right? You've been taught, well, there's no need arguing over this because after all, you're the man of the house. Who's going to argue with you? So you have all these idiosyncrasies that you have that you're bringing into leadership. And so when you bring it to leadership, you're forgetting that where you're leading now is not your home. Yeah. It's another ground that is packed with other so-called people like you, who's coming in there too with their own. Wow. So now the place, perhaps maybe it's the church, is now packed with all kinds of people that have their own little, idiosyncrasies, and they're coming into church. Pastor, this is looking at as associate pastor saying, you don't do things like I do. Yeah. You don't get up and do this. You're supposed to just take it and run with it. And the associate is saying, no, they didn't teach me like that in my home. I've been taught to just sit on it for a minute. Yeah. So now everybody's clashing. Then you have another one that's saying, no, you don't. We're
supposed to discuss everything.
And you don't do this. We're just going to sit here if it takes 10 hours.
It takes 10 hours.
It is what it is. So you have all these people with all their own idiosyncrasies coming to another ground, and nobody wanting to listen to each other because they think that their own way of doing things is the best.
Right. So now, if we go on that, would that be the reason why some of our leaders have to exhibit as well as utilize the authoritarian dictatorship type leadership thing? Because like you were saying we're talking about people exhibiting narcissism in themselves and in their mental capacity in a way. Is that the reason why leaders higher up occasionally tend to display as well as utilize a lot more dictatorship and authoritarian style?
Wow, that's a good one. Now, when you talk about a narcissistic person, they're very suave, right? They tend to they tend to watch their prey for a while, right? They watch their prey from afar. They know everybody. Wait, before they go into that room, they know everybody's weakness. They know the button to push. If it takes them the whole night to push that button, they'll wait. So they understand their prey. And so when you look at people that come into leadership and all of a sudden they start acting authoritarian, no, it's not all of a sudden. It's because they've learned to really like gaze to say, okay, where is the weakest link? Where's the weakest link here? All right, here's the weakest link. Okay, but I'm gonna get to you later.
You're the one I break first. Yeah,
that's right. So it's not when narcissistic personalities just don't happen overnight. It's something that they've had that has been cultivated over years. And a lot of times too, they have been abused themselves and probably been exposed to that kind of thinking. They've been exposed, maybe their own dad too had that authority over them, and they had no say.
No way out. Yeah.
So when they now grow up now without treatment, without anybody helping them, they grow up like that too. They grow up like that too because that's all they know. So when you look at somebody like that and you plant that person at the top of a church ministry, God help everybody else, because that's all they know. And that's all they know to do. And then when you plant them or take them into, make them a leader of our country, oh my heavens, it's on now. Because now it's like, well, I got the power to do it, so it must be okay for me to do it.
But sorry to be playing, the bad cop in this, but don't you think that some of these behaviors are required? Because
yes.
Because if we look at the two examples we've used, let's look at a church. Now, the thing about church is, for people who don't understand, I'll try and summarize it a little bit. There's the idea of faith. There's the ideology of faith in Jesus, and Jesus being the head of the church. Yeah, and now the representation, or should I say, the person who sits in the highest office in church should automatically be the senior leader of the church, who can make decisions for the church and stuff. Now, the way the original churches used to go, it literally was at that person's footstep as at whatever decisions they make. Now, churches nowadays tend to have board of ministers, and then they have board of trustees. The board of trustees help that person that's sitting at the top to make the right decisions on occasions. And then the board of ministers are kind of like you having your board of directors, where you guys sit down. But there's a CEO. Now, this person is a CEO of the business, so they still get the final say, as in their signature releases the check. But everybody gets to argue how much zeros goes on the check. That's the directors. Yeah. So in a way, I think that helps, that allows for that hint of dictatorship, as in, okay guys, this is the vision, this is where we're going. I understand that you guys have other ideas, but this is what we're going to drive towards. Now in church, I think that might work.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. There are different types of leadership, right? There are different types of leadership styles, right? And you have the servant leadership, you have the dictatorship one. You have democratic, you have all kinds of different types. And depending on what you're doing, on where you're planted, where
you're going,
it will be good. Narcissism is different. Narcissism is not good for anybody at all.
Okay.
Now, so narcissism is not a leadership style. It's just a mental illness.
Okay.
So that's the difference. But I'm glad you asked that question, because many people actually ask me that questions too, because they get confused about that. So narcissism is a mental illness, everybody. It is a mental illness. It is not good. There's no part of it that is good at all, period.
Okay.
Now, leadership styles, right?
Yes.
You could take a little bit from an authoritarian and pull a little bit. You could pull a little bit from democratic. You could pull a little bit from that. You could pull servant leadership and put it, and just mix everything together and use it, depending on the kind of people that you're working with. There are some people that you deal with that you got to play hardball, otherwise they'll run
all over you. They'll run ragged over you. Yeah, definitely. I understand it definitely now, because that definitely clears it up. So the leadership style is different from literally being a narcissist. I'm trying to find a posh way of saying this. I'm not calling it mental illness. You're it is a mental illness. But it's the fact of these things get seen. Now, from the outside looking in, is it possible to mistake them for each other?
Okay, so well, you have to. It is possible, because some of the traits. A narcissistic somebody is very authoritarian in leadership.
Yeah,
I can't imagine a narcissistic person being subservient. I just can't see it. So for that, in that case, when you see somebody being authoritarian, you could say, oh, okay, this person, has the authoritarian style, but the mental status of a narcissistic person, because there are other things that go with the narcissism. People, somebody who is an authoritarian is not necessarily somebody who kind of look
always
at the
digs at the weakest one.
Watch the prey before doing that. No, someone with an authoritarian style is just like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. Bam, that's it. Good night. They're not trying to watch you, see where to hit you when they're not trying to do all that. They're just trying to make things work. Period. It's like, okay, y'all have been doing this for 2 years, it's not working. I'm here and we're gonna make this work, and boom, 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 good night.
Okay.
That's an authoritarian person. They're not trying to be suave about it. They're not trying to, watch their prey. They don't even have time for the prey. They don't have time for all that. They just want to go straight to it, dive
straight to it, get the result and move.
Yes, and just get it done. Get the work done.
Yeah. Now, I was going to say, because one of the things we've been talking about in leaders, and now if we reflect that into a home, if the man or the lead of the home starts displaying this kind of not authoritarian but narcissism, pretty much like how do you not so much resolve, how do you bring it to their attention, or how do you let someone else who can assist you know? Because there are people out there who are in relationships that are that toxic, Is there an advice for anyone that finds himself in this situation?
So I had this interview a while back, and they kind of asked that, is there an end to a narcissistic person? And I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to take a lot of work. I mean, a whole lot of work, because regardless of what, before you get there, they've already got there. Before you get to that thing that you want them to do, they're already there, they left. It is hard. They are the hardest people to live with. And most times it resolves to divorce. It really does, because they're just hard. They're difficult. So they cannot, no matter what you say, they have an answer for it.
Yeah.
All right. They have an answer for it. They exploit people. There are people that exploit people. They control people. They exert mental abuse. They lack absolute empathy. How do you teach somebody empathy? They lack empathy. They're very, very manipulative. And it doesn't matter what you say, they're always right. They are always right. So that a lot of times I've seen people, it's best to know it before you get married, so that you can just walk away. Than actually knowing it, marrying them, and thinking you can change them. They will change you.
I was
They
gonna
will,
say,
they will
I
change you.
was gonna say on that, you say knowing them and walking away. Remember, one of the main traits about these people is the fact that you study your prey, understand your prey, utilize your prey's weakness against your prey to achieve what
Now,
you want to achieve.
that's true, but it also depends because we as women, we have this sense.
I know, it's quite annoying.
We have that sense. We might not be able to say exactly what, but we always have this sense that something is wrong. My first marriage, I was married to a narcissist. I knew it. I knew it. I didn't have the right word for it, but I
But
knew something was
you knew
wrong.
something was wrong. Yeah, something was not right.
And so many times I had my way out, but I never took it because, the love was bigger. And people like that have like a grandiose sense of self-importance. So how do you beat that when somebody has a grandiose sense of self-importance, right? They're constantly preoccupied with fantasies of just unlimited success and power. I mean, this is really huge.
Yeah.
So that I often say to our young ladies out there, when you see some of these checklists and you see one or two of it, go to counseling, go to Christian counseling, see if it's something you can ash out, but don't delude yourself
into thinking you can fix the person.
Right now,
yeah.
There are so many people that are still in counseling now. They're married with children. Of course, they're not going to leave now, but they are the most miserable. If you're not careful, their partner ends up committing suicide or doing something because they feel helpless. Half the time they become helpless. When they admire people, they admire themselves. And when they talk about themselves alone, they say we, as if it's a lot of them.
Wow.
So
that's different.
Really, I often say, people say, well, but are you an advocate of divorce? I said, that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm just saying, how much pain can you take? If that's my question to you. If you're dating one now, how much pain can you take? Because frankly, with mine, when I was dating mine, it was there. I actually literally had an opportunity to walk away. But I was so young. I was in my early 20s, didn't have the right word for it, just knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
But I felt like, oh, I'm already too deep into this now, so I might as well just marry the person. No,
yeah, I was gonna say, but then that's one of the things we need to let people know. Anybody listening to this needs to understand it doesn't matter at what point of the relationship you're in. If you understand and you feel that you're in a negative relationship, you can walk. It is never too far ahead.
That's right.
Like, oh yeah, we're already making plans. Oh, I'm already planning what dress to wear, and yeah, we've already started writing down names of our kids. No, if you start seeing these traits that are negative in that person, you can walk away, because there are things that is like we originally said, it starts from a young age, and once you come to recognize it, you either empower it by working with that you think, yeah, it is me. Of course, it is me. Or you turn around and you address it like, no, this is not right. Something is wrong. Right. But also that now leaves the onus on the parents. Means observe your children, talk to your children. Your children will start demonstrating some things that you can either help them negate by assisting them to grow up in the right way. If it means you need to sit down and listen to them, let them ash out things. Get to the point whereby you're able to have a conversation with your child. Yeah, it is definitely like this is a whole new level and a whole new topic.
That's right.
Mental illness and marriage, or mental illness and partnership. Because it's as much as we dig into all the little parts and little bits and bobs, there is just so many facets and so many aspects of it. Because at the moment, right now, if any man find themselves in a position where they feel they are exhibiting the traits, as I like to call it, or the small steps towards, oh yeah, there's something going on, but I don't know who to talk to. What would be your advice to a man?
Well, here's the thing. Number one, a lot of narcissistic people don't even know, they don't even think they have a problem.
That's what I was gonna say. When it comes to
problem right there.
I was gonna say when it comes to someone like that, it's the people around them that will have to point it out.
They don't,
but now we're talking about like other people, other men.
Yeah.
If they feel themselves or they have a feeling that something is not right.
Oh, well.
What are the steps they can take?
Okay, so priority number one is seek help, professional help, because there's a difference between professional help and seeking help with your wife. That's a little bit different, because there are some things that might come up that your wife don't have strength to even carry.
Yeah, true.
So
true.
the main important thing is and that goes for women too, seek help. Now, when you start seeking professional help, other things might come out that you can now bring your partner in, so that your partner can now hold you accountable and help you along. I have a lot of couples like that, where it might be the wife that will come first or the husband. And then later they'll say, okay, can this person come in so that you can help me to let them understand what's going on and how I need to be held accountable. So the number one first thing you want to do, even if it's just depression, you're feeling a little bit depressed, a little anxious and things like that, just look at every community have a mental wellness center, mental health clinics that you could call and just say, you know what, I don't even know what's going on. I just know something's wrong. I don't know what it is. And the first thing they'll do is give you a psychiatric evaluation, that's what I do at my clinic. I give a full psychiatric evaluation and come up with diagnosis that we can now work with. And many of them actually walk away feeling relieved, because it's like, oh my God, I knew something was wrong. I didn't know what it was, but now I know. And that actually brings things down for them, because now they can say, oh, it is depression. Oh, so that's anxiety. Now we can work on it. So that's the very first thing I would say to them. Because half the time when you go to your family, you might not get the answers or the solutions that you want. You might get something else that that will keep you up all night.
I was gonna say it's clear to understand that one of the main things as men we need to do is seek help and definitely voice it. I have to tell you, Dr. Princess, you are the only guest I have had, or I continue having, that we keep doing an hour show of nothing but interviews. So we need to round up for tonight, but because I have, as you can see, I've sort of slightly opened a window to that mental health and marriage thing. We're gonna have to come back and deal with that. I've put my foot in that. I have put my foot in that. We will have to definitely come back and deal with that. First, I have to say a massive thank you. Thank you for
so much.
Giving us your time. Thank you for being here with us and everything else. Just in case people are wondering where they can find you, I have some things here that I can read out to people. Yes, you can find her on the web, on the internet at www.fearlessvisionaries.com. Also, she's available on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You will find her also at www.drfumipsychdnp.com. Also, there is also theprincessofsuburbia.com, and then you have the www.storytellerbristol.com. So all these are places that you can actually reach, as well as find out more about my amazing interview tonight. Seriously, thank you very much. I can't put it into words that the benefits that I myself personally get from our talk, our chat, as I like to call it. It's great. Thank you for spending the time with us today.
Thank you so much.
And I think I should definitely release you to go and have lunch, because now over there it's 1 o'clock. Over here it is 10 o'clock. And it is time for me to sign off. Say thank you for joining me. Remember, you can always contact me on Instagram. You can always contact me on Twitter. My name is Orakle Obarotimi. This has been Hot Topics. It's been a pleasure having you tonight. Take care and God bless.